Hello everyone and welcome to the Grianaig Creations podcast. This is episode 46. My name is Kirsty and I am coming to you from the west coast of Scotland. It's been a while since my last podcast. It has been over a month because the last thing I put up was the footage from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and then it was a wee bit before that since my last podcast. So been a while since my last confession, shall we say. But yes, welcome to my podcast. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for continuing to come back and watching my podcast. There's a lot out there for you to choose from. And if you're a new podcast, thank you so much for stumbling across my little corner of YouTube, and I hope you like what you see. If you do, please hit the subscribe button. I try and get out a semi-regular podcast. And if you also like the podcast, hit the thumbs up button or the like button as well. So yeah, last thing I put out was the footage from Edinburgh. I'm going to try and stop swivelling in this chair. The last footage I put out was footage from the marketplace of Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and a lot of you have came back and said how much you have enjoyed that footage because it was primarily, if not all, focused on the actual marketplace. And I tried my best to make it so, number one. Sorry, Star Trek reference. So yes, I made it so that you got as good an experience of the marketplace as you could if you were not able to attend. And a lot of you have came back and said how much you appreciate the way that footage was filmed, that it wasn't overly edited, and for the most part there was just the background noise of a festival and not a lot of tracks put on top of it. So thank you for those that left very positive feedback. I don't think anyone left any negative feedback on that video, which I was quite surprised about. And the view count was scary numbers for me. My little podcast doesn't know what those kind of numbers are, so that was a big shock to me that so many of you liked it. So yeah, there's been a lot going on, but at the same point not a lot since my last podcast. Not a huge amount of knitting either, which does not bother me. There has been a shocking amount of new stash and stuff entering my house, and I don't really mind that. But yeah, I've just been tottering along for the last couple of months, and we will go from where we left off last time. So Edinburgh was really good. I was only there for the one day. I was taken along by my other half on the day and taken back home on the day. We drove my friend Aileen up as well, and for only going for the one day, I'd like to say we both had a really good time. We both had a lot of FOMO because our friends were all there for multiple days. They all had their own plans. They all went out for dinner and to the pub and stuff, and we missed that by choice because we couldn't afford to spend a couple of nights in Edinburgh. So we made the most of what we could, and I had a thoroughly good time. I just wish I could have spent more time with some of my friends that I don't get to see very often. And then it was back to normality for me. I had not long started my working from home scheme through my work. So I touched on that lately on the last podcast. The company I work for has started allowing some of the members of staff to work from home. So I now do my full-time job right here in this room. My computer's actually off to my side, and I am loving working from home, absolutely loving it. And then after that, the next big thing was my 30th birthday. So I turned 30 on the 22nd of April. doesn't feel like it. I definitely don't act like a 30-year-old. Then again, I never have acted my age. And then my partner and I went to Liverpool for a holiday. So that's you all caught up on that part. In between this episode, there will be some acquisitions from all of that. And I will do a wee bit more of a chatty bit at the end. So yeah. I've just realised I've left my only showable finished item next door, and it's just a pair of socks. So I will pause here and go get them. And I'm back. So yeah, my only finished object that I can show in person is just a vanilla pair of socks. And they do still have some stitch markers in them in true Kirsty style. These are made from, not being funny when I say this name, but it's from Walbut. And this is yarn my mum brought back from her holiday for me. It is 75% wool, 25% polyamide, 420 metres. So it's a proper sock yarn. And she paid the whopping price tag of £1.95, which is shockingly amazing. And my mum and I went to this shop, I want to say like August-ish last year. And I stocked up and I still have a ton of sock yarn to go through. And I will work my way through it slowly but surely, because you can never have too many pairs of hand knitted socks. So these are my standard sock recipe with a wee tweak. I'm still trying to figure out the perfect pair of socks, the perfect fit. So I start with 64 stitches on 2.25. I do a 2x2 cuff for however long I feel. This one was just under 2 inches. And then I work however long I want for the cuff. I do 4 increases around about this part here, which is just before I start my heel flap and gusset. And the reason I do that is because I feel like if I don't increase this part of the sock, which would be going over that bit of my foot, look at me being having terminology, I feel this part is too tight. I feel it's very stretched, and I know negative ease in socks is meant to be good, but I feel it's maybe too much negative ease, so I like to increase by 4 stitches. I then do a heel flap and gusset for a 68 stitch count, reduced down to back down to 64 stitches, and then I work the foot, and then I do a standard wedge toe. Nothing fancy at all, that is just my everyday sock recipe. But I'm still tweaking it, I'm still trying to find the perfect fit. I thought a heel flap and gusset was the right heel for me. I feel I need to go back and try the Fish Lips Kiss heel again. A lot of my socks also have an afterthought heel, which is okay, but I feel it slips down under my heel when I'm walking around, which annoys the living daylights out of me when I'm walking. So I'm trying to see what the best sock is for me. And at the moment, it is just continual hit or miss. All the socks fit. They all do fit. I can get them on, I can wear them. That's not the bother. It's just little details that I'm being a bit pernickety about. So, yeah. Pair of socks. I didn't match them. I didn't really care to match them. They don't look too bad. They just look wacky in colour, so that does not bother me one bit. The yarn is very good. It's very strong yarn. Haven't worn them yet. They have yet to go into my circulation for socks. They will go in for circulation shortly. Just need to weave in the ends and take out the stitch markers. So yeah. It may be 2 months since I've podcasted, or about 2-ish months, and you might be sitting like that, really? You only have a pair of socks to show off? I actually was working on a test knit and a sample knit, and I was actually working very, very hard on a sweater. And now that the pattern has been shown off on Instagram, I feel that I can talk about it. I can put in a wee clip with footage that I had with the sweater on the mannequin, and yeah, so I can talk a wee bit more about it. I was using yarn from Liz of TreLiz, and it was a fade sweater, and I loved the colour she sent. She so knew I would enjoy working with them. They are my kind of colours to work with. They are bright, they are vibrant, and they are just downright beautiful colours. So those yarns were on her singles base, and I can put in more details about the yarn either on screen or in the description box below, and I can link to her website as well. And the sweater was knit by the sweater pattern was by a lovely lady called Marion, who is, I can't say her Instagram name, but I can spell it. So it is IOARMA, and she is Marion Em, which is Marion Em Designs. And here is a drawing of the sweater in question. Oh, glare. And there is a picture of the back with Marion wearing it. I hope you guys can see this okay. So that's the one Marion knit. Those are not the colours that I have knit. Sadly, when I sent the sweater to them, it took a lot longer to get through to them in the post than I was hoping. So they haven't taken any pictures, and I didn't really get the chance to take pictures of it as well. It didn't fit me. It was not a size for me. Liz is a lot smaller than I am, and it was knit for her as a sample / for her to wear. So I couldn't wear it and get pictures, and any friends I have that are that particularly petite size were too busy, or I say too busy, that sounds like they just didn't want to help. But I didn't feel right asking them to pose for this sweater. So I just put it on the mannequin, and I took a wee clip and a couple of pictures, so I will insert them somewhere about here. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable knit. I'm not normally one for test knitting sweaters, but this was actually a very nice sweater. I do want to knit one for myself once I have some other projects off the needles. So yes, that's what I was working on for the majority of the last month and a bit, if not 2 months. The sweater was officially wrapped up and sent off a week ago yesterday. So I have been able to work on some things for myself, and that feels really, really good, because test knitting under a time constraint is a little bit stressful, and I knew I was rearing ahead of some of the other test knitters, but they didn't have to send theirs off by a certain date. I did. So I was a wee bit, put myself under a bit of pressure to get that done and sent off. And sadly, I did actually miss the date they needed it by, but that was not my fault. I had it in the post well in advance. It's just postal service took a bit of time to get it to them. So that was a shame. But I have been able to start working on some of my own things. So first up, in my Floof Hunter bag, which is one of my Edinburgh Yarn Festival purchases, is another pair of vanilla socks. I always try and have a pair of vanilla socks on the go at any time because it makes for great yarn knitting for me, or when I have appointments, or if I'm out for coffee. I just really, really love having vanilla socks so that I can knit and still pay attention. So this amazing yarn is Psychedelic Easter Egg by Otherworldly Yarns. The yarn temptress that is Corolla. And I've had this yarn in my stash for about a year now, and my stash is all under my bed, so it's not the easiest to get in and out of, to pick stuff up and just cake it up and start a new project. So I made a point of going under my bed and getting all the boxes out and pulling a bunch of yarn out for a few projects, and this was one of them. And I started this with the intention of it being my knitting for when my partner and I went on holiday. Yeah, a wee bit done. Most of it was yarn knitting, but then I lost my knitting mojo, and that's got nothing to do with this yarn. I just, I'll talk about it later. So yeah, I've got one almost finished, just need to do the toe, and then I have started the other one. I've dropped a stitch. Stitch is saved. So I've started the other one, and I've got to the point where I need to start the heel flap and gusset. So neither of them were particularly good yarn knitting at that point because I had to focus and then had to count stitches and so on and so forth. I've tangled. But yeah, I'm hoping that because I've made it with a slightly shorter cuff than I would like. Long story short, I treated myself to a pair of Doc Martens for my birthday, and then I realised that for these Doc Martens I prefer them to come above the boot so that if they fell down I could pull them up a wee bit easier. And it wasn't until like a day later that I was kind of like, oh, I'm just on a new pair of socks and I've not made the cuff long enough. So it's my own fault, and I'm hoping that even though I'm still doing one with, for me, quite a fairly long cuff, and I have fairly long feet as it is, that with contrasting heels, toes and cuffs, I should be able to get a second pair out of these. I'm hoping so. So I've already picked out my contrasting heels, toes and cuffs. This is going to blow the camera out. Yeah, you can't even really see the colour. It's proper highlighter yellow, and it's from My Mama Knits. And then I also have, if that doesn't quite really match up, I also have this option. So this is kind of like an icy pale blue. So we'll see how that goes. I'll see how I get on, and then I'll weigh the cake after I'm finished these and see how much yarn I've got to play with and see if it's possible to get a second pair of socks out of them. I'm really, really hoping so, because I would love to have a pair that are going to stick out my boot just a wee bit. Like they'll stick out of some of my other Doc Martens, because I have another pair that are quite a short boot. But the new ones I have are the classic boots, so they're a bit taller than what I'm used to at the moment. So yeah, that is my Psychedelic Easter Egg socks. Again, being kept in my Floof Hunter bag by Yarnesty. That's mostly what I've been working on. I really, if I'm not feeling 100% or my knitting mojo is not quite there, vanilla socks are really my go-to. But I have been working on some other things. Not very many, but still some other things. In a bag that was made by my friend David, which was this boy, I am keeping my Amma sweater. I fully blame Pip for this sweater, and it's because I was at EYF and I was talking to Pip and I was saying how I kind of wanted to buy a sweater's quantity, but I didn't know what sweater, and yada, yada, yada. And then she was just like, oh, the Amma sweater, which she'd just test knitted and she had finished, and she'd worn it the day or two before the day I arrived at Edinburgh. And she managed to convince me, without really seeing the pattern, to get yarn for it. And then after I'd had the yarn and I was looking on Maddie Harvey's Instagram and seeing some posts about the Amma sweater, I was like, yep, so glad I got the yarn for this whilst I was at Edinburgh. Get all tangled with the yarn. Right, okay, I'm going to try and show this off best I can. I've managed to get a tangle. So this is what I have so far. So this is the back of the body with a raised neckline, so there's some short row shaping. And this is what I have so far. I am very, very happy with my yarn choice. These are both DK yarns from Phileas Yarns. The yarn was obtained at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, as I was saying, and it was with the help of Marcus and Scott, my partner, that I got these yarns. I was really, really struggling to find yarn, but I was absolutely determined after talking to Pip that I needed to get my yarn at Edinburgh. And I'm really, really glad that I went with these colours. It's going to look amazing when it's done. So I'm on to the third row of purls, and I'm hoping that once my knitting mojo really comes back, I can just fly through this, because I've seen how quickly some of the others that are knitting this, i.e. Sia and Pip. There's a ton of other people knitting it as part of a knit along between the Tipsy Knits podcast and Maddie Harvey herself, but I keep seeing Sia and Pip's progress because I follow them on Instagram, and they're making me quite envious that I'm quite a slow knitter for this process, and also doesn't help my knitting mojo's not really been there. So I'm seeing their progress and I'm like, oh my god, I just want the finished object already. I just want to wear it. It looks amazing. I wore Pip's. I tried Pip's on later on in the month after Edinburgh, and I loved it. It was just brilliant. My cat's scratching something. I think they're scratching my bed. Oh well. So yes, I'm working on the Amma sweater, which is by Maddie Harvey, if you hadn't guessed by how I've been talking. This sweater has been long awaited. She designed the pattern and then had a hit of self-doubt, and she decided to not release the pattern. And then after talking to some people at an event in Dundee, I think it was, they managed to convince her that the pattern was amazing and she should release it. And I think I speak for a number of people when we say that we're glad she has released it. It is definitely a unique pattern. My friend Taylor knit the Amma shawl, I think it's called, and I really, really liked that when I seen that, because the pearls are in that, and then she's taking it from the shawl and put it into a sweater, and now she's put it from a sweater and she's working on a cardigan, but I'm not sure if she's going to release the cardigan pattern. I hope so, because it does look lovely. So yes, I am working on a sweater. I know what you're all thinking. What happened to your Sunset Highway sweater? Well, it came out the naughty corner and it received some love. Not a huge amount, but it received some love. It got ripped back. It got really, really ripped back. So some of you might remember that this was nearly a finished sweater. I had finished both the sleeves. I had just a wee bit more in the body and then the ribbing to go, and it would have been completed. And then I tried it on, and my belly had grown considerably since the time I had cast it on. I'm not ashamed of that. I like my food. and I wasn't going to put myself under the pressure of losing weight just to wear the sweater. So I ripped the entire body back up to the bust, and then with the help of my friend Aileen, I have put in some increases, and I have knit quite a good length of the body. Do I have a tape measure in here? Yes, I do. So it's gone from being just under the armpits / the bust, and I have put about 11 inches of work on it. I haven't worked on it recently, but I am just glad that I picked it back up because I really, really love these colours. I love these yarns, and I think because the grey, and I've dropped a bunch of stitches. Saved. The grey is actually alpaca, so I'm wondering if this will actually be really good in summer because it's quite a lightweight fabric, and it might be really, really good for in the evenings when it's just got a wee bit chillier. Well, hello. My oldest is chasing my middle cat, and I think she got a bit of a fright because she's got a big puffy tail. So Oxy, you're in the bad books if you're chasing Eli. But yeah, I'm hoping that in summer this could be a really good piece to throw on in the evenings when the sun's kind of gone away and it's a wee bit chilly, but it's not cold enough for a hoodie. But we'll see. I'm not putting any pressure on myself to get it finished because I really want to work on the Amma sweater, and I just also, as I've covered, don't have the best knitting mojo at the moment. I've just found possibly a slightly dropped stitch, which now I've lost. How have I done that? It looked like a very weak stitch. It looked like I've maybe not picked up all the strands. And if that gets one sharp tug... Can you hear him meowing? It's because I'm not paying him any attention. But yeah, there looks like there's a weakened stitch here and I can't find it anymore. And it does just look like I've maybe not picked up all the strands, like I've split the strand of yarn. But it also looks like because it is so weak that if you give it one sharp tug or it catches on something, it's just gonna snap, and then the rest of the rest of that row is just gonna unravel like crazy. So that's gonna annoy me that I now can't find it. But you guys don't need to watch me staring at my knitwork. So yes, the Sunset Highway has been picked back up with the help of my friend Ellen, as I was saying. I've managed to get some increases in, and I will be trying that on when I next pick it up just to make sure I'm on the right path. And if I have to rip it back a second time, then so be it. That'll be my own fault for not continually trying it on. But I really hate working on a big cable. I like a smaller cable. I feel like I get through the knitting a lot quicker. So to go from a bigger cable to a smaller cable to a bigger cable to a smaller cable, and you get what I mean, that's probably getting annoying. It's just a wee bit too tedious. So I prefer keeping it on a smaller cable and just hoping for the best. My own fault. Not the smartest knitter. And then lastly, I am, and I'm not going to show off too much because it is a new design I'm working on. I am working on a sock design. There we go, that's all you get to see. The yarn is a gorgeous yarn. Let me just get the wee thing out for the name. Hide and Seek is the colourway, and it is a lovely yarn from Giddy Yarns. It is a lovely, lovely pale mint green with some speckles and some darker spots, hints of yellow. It's really, really lovely. It's quite, I would say it's quite a light colour. It's not going to focus, but it gives you a better representation of the colour. And this yarn was very kindly sent to me by Helen herself as part of some yarn support for this pattern. She really liked my idea of the stitch pattern and was very, very generous enough to provide yarn support for this. So thank you, Helen. It was very kind of you. I am working on this quite a lot. I'm off on annual leave at the moment. I don't go back to work until Monday. And I would really, really love to have this written up and ready to send out to test knitters by the time I go back to work, if not the start of next week. And on the top of test knitters, if anyone would like to be a test knit, please let me know. And I will put your name in a spreadsheet. I don't know. I'll put your name somewhere and I'll contact you when the pattern is ready to be test knitted. I'm really, really excited about this. I've had some sock designs in my head for a couple of months now, and I was teetering on the fence as to whether to do something about it or whether just to, I don't know, ignore the creative urge to design it and share it with people, because there is a lot of self-doubt when it comes to putting something like that out there. And there are people that state that there's no point adding to a very saturated market. And with the help of some friends and some recent Instagram posts, I have decided to go ahead, and the worst thing that can happen is that nobody likes it. I've still tried. So yeah, really excited to get these out, and we'll get them finished first and then test knitted and follow the process and then get them out to you guys, and I really hope you like them. So yeah, I don't have any more knitting to talk about, so it's really going to get to the chatty bit and some acquisitions. If that's not really your cup of tea, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next podcast. And if you want to get in touch or follow me anywhere else, I can be found on Instagram as Grianaig __ whichever creations. And you can find me on Ravelry as little-b. You can also find me on Instagram as littlebkirsty, but that is more of a kind of personal account. There's not going to be as much knitting and creative stuff on there. That is by choice, because I do have a life outside of my knitting stuff not everybody wants to see. So I do keep the two semi-separate. So you can find me there as well if you are curious. So yeah, I have some things I want to show off, and I have some things I want to talk about. At the start of the month, April that is, because today is the 1st of May, somewhere along the start of the month, can't remember which date exactly, I attended a crafters car boot sale, and I wasn't expecting very much. I thought it would be more paper crafts, or, well, I guess scrapbooking can be considered paper crafts. Do you know all the crafts are sitting on the tip of my tongue, but I can't actually say them? So the likes of paper crafting or jewellery making, or... What's wrong? You're just very meowy. They're not going to hear that. You're not coming up. You've already put two holes in my jeggings. You guys hear him clip-clopping? His nails, we've got hardwood, so you can hear his nails on the wood on the floor. It makes him sound like he's got high heels on. But yeah, I attended a crafters car boot sale, and I wasn't expecting very much, but at the same point I was hoping to find a gem or two. And my mum and I went along. It was in Kilmarnock, which is not the biggest drive away from us, but it's not exactly local either. And I would say about the second or the third stall that I looked at, I hit gold. Like, I hit a proper gold mine. The lady she had some really, really good stuff. I got a pair of sock blockers, wooden sock blockers, which are for my size, which I could not believe. Still can't believe it. But they've got some nicks out of the wood, so if you put a sock on it, it gets stuck, it catches the yarn. So I need to sand that down and then kind of maybe seal the edges again. And then another amazing, amazing find. I got a whole pack of brand new needles. These are Knit Pro, which ones are these? Knit Pro Marbles. Yep. Whole set, brand new, never out of the box. Box is a wee bit beaten, but I can live with that. Brand new set of Knit Pro marbles, and I just love the colours. They're wacky and brilliant. And even if she's maybe used one or two, I'm not too fussed because the numbers are still very, very clear. You can still read them. Like they've not worn off, they've not rubbed down or anything like that. So they look good as new. I've not used them yet. I might give them a wee wipe down, and they still have how do I open this out? They still have, oh, excuse me, they still have like their cables and stuff, and all the stoppers, and the extension cables. Like everything that you need for them is there. There's nothing, it doesn't appear to be anything missing. Like I say, the box is a wee bit battered and bruised. If she has used them, she's only used them once or twice. I can't believe it, £15 for this. And when I checked online, they sell for, I think it was £70. So personally, I think I got a really good bargain. I'm very, very glad I went just for those alone and the sock blockers. I got a couple of skeins of yarn as well, which are in my stash under my bed. I can't be bothered digging them out. Gonna be honest, I really can't. What else did I get? I got 2 jewellery beading things that if I get stuck, I know my friend Aileen will help. That's me kind of sucking up to Aileen there. And I got some fabric as well for my bag making, and I think that was about it. I don't think I got anything else. If I took a picture, which would be the smart thing to do, if I did that, I'll put a picture in. If I didn't, you'll find out because there won't be a picture. And then, like I say, it was my birthday after that. I had a really, really good time. A few friends met me in Glasgow and we had dim sum lunch, where I have discovered char siu buns, which are the best thing in the world, and I could happily live off of those every day for the rest of my life. And I was very blessed to receive some lovely goodies from people, and I want to show this one off. So my friend Deborah, who has the Diary of a Physicist Farm Girl podcast. Is that the right full term? Yeah, Diary of a Physicist Farm Girl. But you can also find her under Buckthorn Farms on YouTube. And Deborah is lovely. I could listen to her talk all day. I always learn something new on her podcast. And it's really interesting watching all the crafts that Deborah does and seeing the clips from the farm and the animals that she cares for. And generally it's just a very, very well-rounded podcast. And if you don't watch her, I think you should jump over and just give her a watch, see if she's your cup of tea. I'm sure she will be. But Deborah was really, really kind and sent me this. How beautiful is this yarn? So it reminds me of mermaids and sea plants, which I thought of before I read the colourway. So the colourway is actually tropical fish. So I was kind of right in the slap bang middle of what the dyer was what the dyer had thought it looked like. So this is Prairie Dye Studio, who I hadn't heard of before receiving this lovely skein. and it is a very, very soft and luxurious feeling yarn. It's 80% merino, 20% nylon, and there's 425 yards. So I think that it's roughly about 400 meters. And it really is just stunning. And Deborah also sent me a really awesome colouring book, and probably one of the best pens I have now, because it's got sequins and it's shiny and it's a unicorn. So that is one of my birthday presents and I love it. I'm not sure what I'm going to make with it, but I love it. And then my desk is getting a bit messy. Just whilst I'm here, I'll show off my plant that I hope not to kill. No offence, Ellen, but I'm not brilliant with plants. So this was given to me by Ellen for my birthday. It's a succulents, and she got me it so that it can be on my work desk, because my work desk is looking very bare. So yes, as I have spoken about, was on holiday with my partner. My cats are going crazy. And we were down in Liverpool. And I've never been to Liverpool before. And my parents have been, and they've said that it's somewhere really, really quite beautiful for architecture. But it's not the best place for yarn shops. But that being said, I know one of the ladies that owns a yarn shop in Liverpool. Or pretty much the only yarn shop in Liverpool. And I left my mini skeins next door. Oh well. The we, which is the royal we, I think that's how that sentence is used. Scott and I, there we go, went along to Ovis Yarns. And Becky wasn't there, sadly. She had gone away on a family day out. And we went along on Yarn Shop Day. So very kindly received a 10% discount on my purchases. Scott picked this one out. Oh, that's actually showing colour quite well. It's quite a kind of black red. If you look at it at one angle, it's very dark maroon. And if you look at it from another angle, it's very, well, it's almost black. So he actually has a hat, commercial hat, in knitted fabric, with very similar colourings, and he loves that hat so much. So I'm actually going to make him a hat with this yarn. This is yarn from Lazy Kate Textiles, and it is on her Twister 4-ply BFL sock yarn. You get 400 meters in 100 grams, and it is on the colorway Balaton. Don't know how well you guys can see that. My laptop isn't great for focusing. So this is for Scott for a hat. Scott is actually pretty knit-worthy. I just don't knit for him often. Because he's very, very specific about what he wants, but he will never say that what you've given him is not what he wanted, which is admirable, but annoying. And then my other purchase was 3 skeins. I love these. 3 skeins of her, I can't say it, gnarly? I can't say it. So this is in her poppy sock, which is 100% BFL. There is 385 meters, and I got 3 skeins, and this is going to become the shawl for an art lover. That is a pattern by Carrie Westerman, and it is knit in lace weight, but you can knit it in 4-ply on the same needle and it won't turn out absolutely gigantic. You wouldn't have to worry about extra yardage. So I am hoping that this is going to be enough yarn. If it's not, I'm sure I can phone Becky up in an absolute panic and go like, please, 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 I need to get another skein of your yarn. But yeah, I chose these ones because I thought they were really, really beautiful. And you can see that it's mostly kind of like this really mint green again, and then there's some sections where it's quite golden yellow, and then kind of like khaki green. I've been a fan of Becky's yarn for a couple of years now, and I met Becky at the second Perth Festival of Yarn, so that would have been 2017 that I met Becky, and I've loved Becky's yarn since then because she uses 100% British yarn, and it is normally non-superwash as well, so her stuff is really, really good, and it's quite different from what you can get from other people as well. So that's going to be the shawl for the art lover. I got 2 packets of mini skeins with 5 mini skeins in them each, and I think they're 10 grams. They are just for something, no idea what. They're in the room next door. I'm not going to go back and get them. And then on the way back from Liverpool, we stopped in at Lancaster, which is a beautiful town. I didn't get any footage from either of these trips. I was way too tired, way too sore. My body had just started shutting down at this point. So there's no footage. You're just going to have to take my word for it, or Google Lancaster and you can see how gorgeous the town is. And when I was in Lancaster, on the recommendation of myself, because I Googled it, and the recommendation of Becky, I went to Northern Yarn. And I was Googling yarn shops, and I was being very specific about my search, and I was going into the pictures to make sure that they were the types of yarn I was looking for. I was looking for non-acrylic, basically. And a lot of the yarn shops that were coming up in my Google search were baby acrylic yarns. So when I found Northern Yarn, I told Becky about it, and she was like, yes, you have to go. So I did. So Northern Yarn at the moment is currently showcasing River Knits, who I hadn't heard of before looking into yarn shops. And I got these two. So I got March Riot and Shepherd's Delight. They're both on the BFL 4-ply, so that is 100% superwash BFL, and you get 400 meters per hank. So I got, let's see if I can show that one off. So it's lovely reds and oranges, pinks, and then this one is greens and purples. Very, very lovely. And I also treated myself to Northern Yarn. My bat's coming off. So this is Northern Yarn. And there's a wee picture of the little cute sheep. It's so cute. So I got it on a yellow, and I got it on a neutral or natural. So this is, oh, they both have a colourway. No, it's not. It's just a type of yarn. So this is Northern Yarn on the Jeanette base, which is 4-ply, 100% Pole Dorset lamb's wool, woolen spun in Yorkshire. It's 110 grams approximately, and you get 334 meters. So really, really beautiful. So these are going to go together in something. I'm just not sure what yet. And then my last 2 purchases, I'm going to try and do this without getting more of the fibre off. So I came across Coastal Colours when I was in Blackpool last year before. And I had got their yarn. I did not know they'd done roving. So this is the combed 200 gram top, which is 70% BFL and 30% C-cell. And I got it in the most gorgeous kind of neutral tones that I've ever seen before. This isn't normally colours that I would pick. These are a wee bit more out of my comfort zone. You can see the C-cell because it's a wee bit shinier. But these are, it's really, really beautiful. There's a lot of still natural top in there with no dye in it. And then there's bits with just a tiny bit of dye. And then there's some that are like really, really saturated. So this is going to be really beautiful to spin up. And there's going to be a lot of it, so I could do a 2-ply. So that was my first lot of fibre. And then I decided to that this had to come home with me. And you'll see why. So this massive braid made its way into my shopping cart. 200 grams again, and it's 200 grams of Jacobs in the mid grey. So this is going to be something beautiful. So there's a lot of it. It's a big, big hank of yarn, or hank of fibre, or braid of fibre, whatever you want to call it. It's big. It looks like a ponytail. Like, my mum actually held it to the back of my head. She's like, here's your new ponytail. It's very soft and squishy as well. It's just, it smells amazing. But I love this shop because it had a couple of more commercial yarns, but it also had a lot of really, really good sheepy yarn. So they had Jameson and Smith, they had Paul Dorset, they had Jacob Fibre. It was just a really good round mix if you really want to experience British yarn. And I would highly recommend anyone in the area to suss out Northern Yarns. The lady was really, really nice and friendly. When she seen how much I was buying, she went and got me a tote bag, which I'm pretty sure you may have to pay for, but I didn't have to pay any extra. And she was just really, really friendly. When she found out that Scott and I weren't from the area, she was asking how I'd found them, and I said Google and through a recommendation. And I've got fluff up my nose now. But yeah, she made me feel very, very welcome, and she was asking us about our trip, that if anything had brought us down, or how we were finding the area. We ended up talking about the weather because we were British. It's what we do. And she was just really, really nice. And I like that about people that own a shop. I want to feel welcome, but I don't want to feel bombarded with questions. I don't like going into a shop and instantly being hit with, can I help you with anything? Are you looking with anything in particular? No, I'm just looking. I just want to look. Just let me look. And I didn't get this when I got in there. I got a, hi, welcome to the shop, blah, blah, blah. And then I got to look around, and like, I went round the shop 2 or 3 times before I finally made my purchases. And it wasn't until I was really done that's when she started really talking to me. So I didn't feel pressured when I was looking, but I felt I had the freedom to peruse and not feel like if I hadn't bought anything I was wasting her time. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I don't know if I'm just rambling. If I'm rambling, ignore me. Oh, I can't bother tidying up. I've just made a huge mess on my desk. It's a good thing I don't have to go back to work until Monday. Okay, my last rambly section. There's a new yarn shop in my town, and I cannot wait. I really can't wait to see how this shop grows. Oh no, Facebook updated again. Ugh. Right, how do I search things now? Okay, so the shop is called The Wee Crafty Owl. And the lady that owns it, her name is Mary, and she's lovely. I've known Mary for a couple of years now. She worked in a craft centre. She works in the craft centre in our garden centre. And she had worked there for still got fluff up my nose. She had worked there for a couple of years, and I have had many an encounter with her, always a good encounter. And she is just lovely. She's very, very welcoming. She will talk to you and ask questions about what you're making with what you're buying, or just what you're up to, like what craft you've chosen for that month if you're making chop and change between your crafts. And she has opened up a yarn shop because the craft centre has really gone downhill. The people that own the garden centre have downsized twice now, and what they have left is pathetic. It's really, really pathetic. I will not step foot back in that place. They have lost a lot of customers, which is a shame because it's got nothing to do with the craft centre or the people that work there. It is purely the people behind the garden centre that have made it pathetic. So Mary has seen an opening in the business and has played to the strengths of the area and has opened up a wool shop. There's a lot of acrylic yarn, but I have spoken to Mary about what she hopes to get into the shop and how she hopes to grow. And she actually has some sock yarn. So I'm so happy because I love sock yarn, guys. You know I love sock yarn. You can never have enough, and you can never have enough hand knitted socks. So I've told her this. I've told her I will probably be her number one sock yarn buyer. So she has the likes of, is it Heart and Soul? Is that what that one's called? I think it's Heart and Soul. And then there's another one I don't know the name of. I can picture the label, I just can't say it. And then she also has West Yorkshire Spinners. She's got the signature line, which is amazing. And she also has the Croft line as well, and a few others of the more woolly wools. And then I was really, really amazed to find that she was stocking Chopel, the Zalber balls. So I got a crazy Zalber ball when I was in and I was talking to her. So I have a new sock yarn, and these will be socks. And she was showing me the health warning that now come on crazy Zalber balls. So I don't know if you can tell, but that's a knitted heart, and it says knitting can be addictive. So there's a health warning on my yarn. I need to take a picture of this and send this to Scott because he will not believe me. So this is 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide, 420 meters. And yeah, I like Zalber balls. I've used them for making mittens. No, fingerless mittens for my mum. I've never used them for socks. So if you've used this crazy Zalber ball for socks, let me know what your thoughts are on it as a yarn. And if you felt that it was really quite hard wearing. Because looking at the ply, I don't know if it would be as hard wearing as I would like. So I don't know. Let me know. If you've used a crazy Zalber ball for socks, let me know in the comments below how the yarn has held up. I'd really appreciate it. Whilst I was in the shop, I also decided to go a wee bit out of my comfort zone, and I bought a crochet blanket project. My crochet blanket skills are as good as a granny square or a granny stripe. This is just a wee bit different. This is done diagonally with a border and then some interesting squares at the bottom. And it doesn't look like what's done on the diagonal is a granny stripe. It looks more like chains going up and down to form slightly like triangles. So it says you've got a picot, treble crochet 3 together, treble crochet 4 together in a V stitch, right? So it's V stitches that the pattern is, which is okay. You have to be able to hear him. Monty, what's wrong? Monty! We have discovered that my youngest cat Monty doesn't really like being left on his own. He doesn't like being on his own in general, and he has to follow you around. So if you leave him in a room and you go get like a glass of water or something, he will follow you to the kitchen and then back into the same room. So if he realises, like if he wakes up from a nap and he realises you're not there, he meows like trying to find you, like proper panic meows until he finds you, and then he just goes really quiet. There's nothing wrong with him. He just doesn't like being on his own. Although now him and my middle cat are having a standoff. So yeah, anyway, back to the pattern. This is a back kit and back kit elements double knitting pattern. There's 2 pattern designs in the leaflet. So you've got the blanket and you also have the pillow. So these squares are what's on the bottom of the blanket here, as you can see. Then there's a border around the whole thing. So I think this would be really, really good for scraps, and I'm really interested to see how it goes, because like I say, it's a wee bit different from what I'm used to for crochet blankets, and I would be really, really curious to see how it goes. So I will keep you informed if I start this anytime soon, and then when I do start it, you guys will know about it because it'll be on the podcast, if not on my Instagram. Okay, now they're just playing outside the door. And with that, I think it's time to wrap it up because my cats are getting annoying. They're just being playful. I don't really have anything else to talk about. I just want to say a huge thank you for those that wished me a happy birthday. I don't normally have very good birthdays. They normally don't go to plan. And I'm not going to say this one went exactly to plan because some people that I really wanted to be there couldn't make it. And then when everyone's just like, what do you want to do? So on my actual birthday, everyone was just like kind of looking at me for how the day was going to go. And I was just like, I don't know. I just want to spend time with people. So it was interesting. It was not as bad as any of my other birthdays. I normally get really kind of disheartened when it comes to my birthday because people really kind of let me down and stuff. Put it this way, for my 21st birthday, one of my friends got us kicked out of the club we were in at about 11 o'clock at night, and we had to go home. So yeah, if you can hear him, I don't know what he's doing. So yeah, my birthdays have never really gone to plan, so I was really, really quite happy and thankful that this birthday was just a hoot. I had such an amazing time having lunch with some of my friends, and then my birthday on the day itself was just really nice and relaxing. I spent some time with my family. Scott was there as well, and my mum, my sister and I, we all sat down to watch a movie, and I can't recall the last time we've done that. Normally it's just my mum and I, because my sister doesn't live in the same town as us. And yeah, it was just really nice. And then, as you guys know, I was away on holiday for a couple of days, which was really quite interesting because one of those days Scott was actually away doing his own thing. He had a wrestling convention to attend. He doesn't wrestle. Before anyone asks, he does not wrestle. He just likes watching wrestling. So that day was quite a tough day for me because I was in a strange town, not in the city centre, and my anxiety was really kicking my butt that day, but I had to get ready to meet Becky in town, and I was really, really struggling with my anxiety, and I managed to overcome it, and I got into the town centre and I met Becky for a coffee, and it was just really, really nice. I'm so glad that she agreed to meet me and that I managed to overcome my anxiety and get into the town. And then, other than that, I've just been plodding along, really. It's just usual stuff, working mostly. I have Perth Festival of Yarn coming up, and I have prep for that. I will be making my project bags, as you guys that are regular viewers will know. And for anyone that isn't aware, the ticket release went live last weekend just gone. The ticket release went live. So if you are attending any of the events and the festival itself, you can go and get your tickets now. Classes have also been released, so you can get tickets for that. I will be attending both the gin night and the gala dinner. So that will be the Friday night and the Saturday. And you will also obviously be able to find me in the marketplace itself on the Saturday and Sunday. I will be selling my bags like I have said. So let me know in the comments below if you are headed to Perth Festival of Yarn. It would be amazing to meet some of you. If any of you are attending, that would be brilliant actually, if you could just come by and say hi. I don't think I'll be wandering around shopping because I definitely don't need any yarn. After going through all my stash, I definitely don't need any yarn. So you'll mostly just find me at my booth. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. Perth is always a fantastic event. This will be the 4th year that I will be there. And I look forward to it every single year. So yeah. I think I've rambled on enough. The timer says 1 hour and 5 minutes. Most of that is garbage. Most of it was me trying to find the name of things on my phone when my phone is not like being nice and cooperating. And yeah, I'm going to wrap this up for the cats, really get hyper and start editing this, and I'll try and get it out tonight. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said at the start, if you guys really like the podcast, please hit the like button or the thumbs up, whichever it is. Also, if you want to hit the subscribe button, that would be amazing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. I'm back. So yeah, I forgot to talk about something. Hold my hands up, totally say that. And I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to talk about a new maker. You might notice that my lips are pretty red right now because I just tried to take my lip gloss off. I want to talk to you guys about a new maker, and I'm talking about it, and I fully say right now that these items were given to me to show off and they will be given back to her, and I am choosing to talk about this on my own free will. I've not been asked, I am not being paid to talk about this. I am deciding to talk about it because I feel you guys would like to know about this product. So my friend Aileen, who you all know because I talk about her nearly on every podcast, has started her own business, Little Bush Baby Makes, or The Little Bush Baby Makes. You can find Aileen on Instagram as @thelittlebushbabymakes and on Etsy as www.etsy.com/uk/shop/the-little-bush-baby. Here are all her details here. Hide my face. And again, for you to see the front of the card. Aileen has been beading for a long time. She makes her own really exquisite jewellery, and her stuff really is very, very good. It is of excellent quality, and what she makes is just damn right phenomenal. So Aileen has started her own wee business adventure, and she is making beaded knitting jewellery or knitting accessories. And the first one she has been working on is some really stunning stitch markers. So this is one of her stitch markers, and it is using a Swarovski Rivoli with some really stunning beadwork around the outsides and some dangling beadwork. This is the back of the Rivoli, and this is the front of the Rivoli. And you can see how it catches in the light. You can also see that it is on a clasp, which is very good for on your knitting and on your crochet as well. Excellent for crochet work. It clasps down, it clasps up. That will secure on your knitting or your crochet. I personally think these are really good for crochet because if you just had one with a hoop, So my computer ran out of storage and my camera just randomly stopped recording. So as I was saying, I feel like this clasp is really good for crochet work, because if you had just a solid circle, you would be able to remove it from your crochet. So this is good for knitting and crochet. I feel like Aileen has really put some thought behind this. And they're also really just quite beautiful. It's really, for me, I would class this as knitting jewellery. Whether you would want this as just something to put on your knitting, or whether it will be your like beginning of round marker, or just your main stitch marker, would be entirely self-preference. I'm waiting on Monty standing on my keyboard again, so that's why I'm a wee bit distracted. And then the other thing she has sent me to show off is a shawl pin. So if you see anything on my hands, it's dye. So this is her shawl pin. Let's see. That looks like it's in better focus. So just, your average shawl pin, but with some really amazing beadwork on it. I know she has been working on quite a few colour options. And she is actually planning on launching her Etsy shop on the 10th of May. So that is something to keep your eyes out for. And you can also keep your eyes out for her on Instagram, as I've said, from her business card. But like I say, I will get confirmation as to whether she takes custom orders or not. But if she doesn't, she does do a selection of colours. It's not just like one or two options. She has quite a broad range of beading colours. So yeah, I wanted to show these off to you guys. Again, I'm not being paid to do this. I asked her to send me some things to show off for her, because I feel like we should all be bigging each other up instead of tearing each other down. And what way to do that than by showing you pretty things. My laptop keeps making noises because I'm running out of storage. I need to figure that out. But yeah. Go follow Aileen on Instagram and get ready for her shop going live in 10 days' time. I have hiccups. So I'm going to go off now, because when I hiccup, I get really, really loud and squeaky. But yeah, aren't they beautiful? I've got my own one of this, but in a slightly bigger Rivoli, and it's green. And it's really nice, and there's no dangles. But yeah, I thought I would share these with you guys because I thought you might like them. So if you do, go hit follow on Aileen's Instagram page. Show her some love. See you next time.